Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. Man, this is one of those stories that just hits hard for Commanders fans, because it's not just another roster move. It's the kind of injury that changes the entire energy of a defense that was finally starting to click. The Washington Commanders have officially placed defensive end Dorance Armstrong on injured reserve after suffering a knee injury during Sunday's game against his former team, the Dallas Cowboys. And yeah, there's a kind of cruel irony to that. Armstrong going down against the team that drafted him, the one that saw him grow from a raw fourth-round pick out of Kansas into one of the most underrated pass rushers in the league. You could feel the sting in the locker room. You could hear it in Dan Quinn's voice when he talked about it. Armstrong had been dealing with some lower body issues already, nursing a hamstring injury from that bruising Monday night matchup against the Chicago Bears. But this knee injury seals the deal. His 2025 season is officially over. Before the injury, Armstrong was flat-out balling. Let's not sugarcoat it. He was Washington's best pass rusher this year, leading the team with 5.5 sacks through just 7 games. That's a pace that could have had him near double digits by the end of the season, which would have been a career high. And the way he was getting it done wasn't just about the numbers. Armstrong's burst off the edge, that mix of power and discipline, had been a nightmare for opposing tackles. He wasn't freelancing. He was executing Dan Quinn's system with precision, bringing that same tenacity he showed in Dallas. The dude had become the emotional anchor of that defensive front, a quiet enforcer who did his job, set the edge, and made quarterbacks feel uncomfortable every single snap. Losing him, especially when the team is still trying to build chemistry under Quinn's leadership, feels like a massive gut punch. The Commanders, trying to stay afloat in a brutally competitive NFC East, didn't waste time filling the roster spot. They brought back defensive end Jalen Holmes, a name that Commanders fans are already familiar with. Holmes was actually with the team last season and even played a few games earlier this year before being released to make room for tackle Sam Cosmi, who was just activated from the reserve/PUP list after recovering from an ACL tear. Holmes isn't a flashy player, but he's dependable depth, someone who knows the system, knows the locker room, and can be counted on to eat some snaps while keeping the rotation steady. But let's be honest, there's no replacing Dorance Armstrong. Holmes can fill the uniform. He can hold the gap, but that burst of disruption that Armstrong brought on third downs, that relentless energy, that's not something you just plug and play. Dan Quinn was candid about the situation when he spoke on SiriusXM's Move in the Chains. You could tell he was disappointed, but he stayed focused on the next man up mentality. Quinn said the team's plan is to get healthier elsewhere, and that's going to be crucial because the Commanders' injury list is starting to look like a novel. Wide receivers Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel are both expected to return to practice this week, which is a much-needed boost. McLaurin has missed the last 4 games with a quad injury, while Samuel sat out his first game of the year last week after dealing with a nagging heel issue for a couple of games. And don't forget, Noah Brown is also on IR with a groin injury after missing 4 straight games. That's 3 top targets, all fighting their way back, at a time when rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels could use every bit of help he can get. Speaking of Daniels, there was a collective sigh of relief when the team clarified that his hamstring injury from Sunday's game isn't considered serious or long-term. The rookie has been electric. Raw, yes, but electric, and losing him even for a short stretch would have sent this offense into a tailspin. Right now, he's listed as day-to-day, and the hope is that he'll be ready to go when the Commanders visit the Kansas City Chiefs for another Monday Night Football showcase. But you never know with hamstrings. Those things can linger if you push too soon. Washington's going to have to be smart with their young QB because the last thing they need is for him to re-aggravate it and miss significant time. This whole situation with Armstrong just highlights how brutal the NFL season can be. One week you're dominating, the next you're done for the year. For Armstrong, this one has to sting even more because 2025 was supposed to be his breakout campaign in a new city. After spending the first 5 years of his career with the Cowboys, he signed that big 3-year, $45 million deal with Washington in 2024, betting on himself and on Dan Quinn, the same defensive mind who helped mold him in Dallas. And honestly, it looked like that bet was paying off. He came into this year in phenomenal shape, more confident than ever, and started to look like the kind of every-down defensive end that teams build around. Now he's got to hit pause, go through rehab, and hope to come back next year at full strength. For Washington, the injury bug has been relentless this season. Armstrong joins a growing list of key defensive players who've landed on injured reserve. Dietrich Wise Jr. went down earlier with a quad injury, and rookie Javonte Jean-Baptiste hit IR with a torn pec. That's 3 defensive ends, 3 out for the year, and it's only week 8. You can't build consistency on defense when you're constantly shuffling personnel, and it shows in the Commanders' pass rush numbers. They've been generating pressure, but not finishing plays, and now without Armstrong, that's going to get even tougher. Quinn's going to have to lean heavily on depth guys, maybe get creative with blitz packages, maybe rotate some linebackers into edge roles. It's going to test his adaptability as a coach and the resilience of the locker room. Fans have every right to feel frustrated, but if there's one silver lining here, it's that Armstrong's injury doesn't change the bigger picture. This team is being built for the long haul. Dan Quinn's bringing in his culture, his style, and even though this year's been rocky, you can see the pieces forming. Jaden Daniels has flashed the kind of playmaking ability that gives you hope for the future. The offense, when healthy, can be explosive. And on defense, even without Armstrong, you've got guys like Jonathan Allen and Darren Payne holding it down inside, trying to keep that identity alive. If anything, these injuries might just accelerate the growth of younger players who'll have to step up. That's how teams evolve. Under pressure, through adversity, finding out who really wants it. But make no mistake, losing Dorance Armstrong hurts. You don't lose your sack leader, your tone setter, and just shrug it off. This one's going to leave a mark. The Commanders' front office knows it, the fans know it, and you can bet Armstrong himself is feeling it the most. Football careers are unpredictable, fragile even, and this injury is another reminder of just how quickly things can change. From dominating on Sunday to being sidelined for the season, it's a brutal swing. But if there's one thing we've learned about Dorance Armstrong over the years, it's that he doesn't fold. He's been doubted, he's been overlooked, and every single time, he's come back stronger. Expect him to attack rehab the same way he attacks the pocket, with intensity, with purpose, with that quiet, burning drive that made him who he is. So for now, Washington will have to adjust. Jalen Holmes steps back in, the rotation reshuffles, and the Commanders move forward into the heart of the season shorthanded but still fighting. The schedule doesn't get any easier, with the Chiefs looming next Monday night. But this team has shown flashes of toughness before, and they'll need every ounce of it now. If the offense can get healthy and the defense can just hold the line, there's still a chance to make noise in the NFC wildcard picture. It's not impossible, but the margin for error just got thinner. Every snap, every tackle, every drive is going to matter from here on out. At the end of the day, football's a next-man-up league, but it's also a brotherhood. When a guy like Dorance Armstrong goes down, the locker room feels it deeply. You can see it in the way his teammates talk about him. The respect, the admiration, the shared pain. That's what makes this sport so raw and so human. It's not just about stats or contracts. It's about the people behind the helmets. Armstrong's season might be over, but his impact on this team, on the culture Dan Quinn is trying to build, will linger long after the final whistle of 2025 blows. Because that's what real leaders do. Even when they can't play, they still leave their mark. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. Hold on to your seats, football fans, because what we're hearing right now is nothing short of explosive. T. Higgins, yes, the T. Higgins, the rising star wide receiver who has been dazzling defenses in Cincinnati for years, is reportedly leaving the Bengals. And the whispers aren't just idle chatter. They're pointing straight to the Washington Commanders as his next landing spot. Can you even imagine that? A player of Higgins' caliber switching conferences, switching teams, and potentially flipping the dynamics of the NFC East? It's exactly the kind of news that makes off-season football feel like a full-blown playoff thriller. Sources close to the situation suggest that the negotiations have been happening quietly behind closed doors, and while nothing is 100% official yet, the momentum seems to be swinging heavily toward the Commanders securing a massive coup in the receiver market. The idea of T. Higgins in burgundy and gold is already setting social media on fire. Fans are buzzing, analysts are speculating, and rival teams are probably sitting back nervously, realizing that the NFC East could just get a lot more unpredictable. Higgins has been a consistent performer for the Bengals, showing flashes of elite speed, impeccable route running, and that uncanny ability to make contested catches look routine. He's been a favorite target for Joe Burrow, and now the burning question is, can he replicate that magic in Washington? The Commanders have been building towards something big, trying to find that missing spark to turn their offense into a genuine threat week in and week out, and T. Higgins could be the piece they've been hunting for. Rumor has it that the discussion started weeks ago, quietly, with Higgins' camp and the Commanders' front office exploring every possible angle. Money talks, sure, but so do opportunities to shine in a new environment. And Higgins reportedly sees Washington as a place where he can take the next step in his career, maybe even put himself in the MVP conversation in the long run. Imagine the energy in FedEx Field when Higgins steps onto the field for the first time in Commanders colors. The chants, the excitement, the expectation, it's almost too good to picture, and yet, the buzz is that it's becoming more and more plausible by the hour. Of course, every big move comes with its skeptics. Bengals fans are already mourning, some expressing disbelief, others hinting at betrayal. The emotional roller coaster for fans is real, especially for a team that has counted on Higgins as a cornerstone of their receiving core for multiple seasons. But sports, as we know, is as much about business as it is about loyalty, and this potential move, if it happens, would be a textbook example of a team seizing an opportunity while another faces the harsh reality of a roster shift. Analysts are already breaking down what this means for both teams. For the Bengals, losing Higgins would leave a sizable gap in their passing attack, forcing them to recalibrate their strategy and perhaps even accelerating the development of younger receivers. For the Commanders, acquiring a player of Higgins' pedigree signals ambition, a willingness to invest in top-tier talent, and a message to the rest of the league that they are aiming high. Now let's talk style of play. Higgins has always been the type of receiver who can dominate both in the slot and outside, giving quarterbacks flexibility and defenses nightmares. Pairing him with the Commanders' existing offensive weapons could create matchups that opposing teams simply won't be able to handle. There's already speculation about how Higgins will gel with the current quarterback situation, and while some are cautious, the excitement is undeniable. The chemistry factor is crucial, of course. Football isn't just about talent. It's about timing, rapport, and trust between a QB and a receiver. But if Higgins can bring the same work ethic and football IQ that he displayed in Cincinnati, Washington fans could be looking at a new hero, someone capable of changing games with jaw-dropping catches and game-defining plays. Financial details are murky, as they often are with stories this hot. Some reports suggest a significant contract, possibly making Higgins one of the highest-paid receivers in the league, and that alone is enough to turn heads. But beyond the money, the narrative here is about opportunity, ambition, and legacy. Higgins is at a point in his career where he's proven he belongs among the league's elite, and moving to a team that is hungry, motivated, and ready to make waves could be exactly what he needs to elevate his game even further. Commanders fans are already dreaming about those highlight reels, imagining Higgins breaking free downfield, connecting with clutch passes, and giving the franchise a weapon they've been lacking for years. And let's not forget the ripple effect. This isn't just about Higgins himself. This potential move could send tremors through the NFL landscape. Other teams in the NFC East, maybe even the AFC, are probably taking notice, recalculating their own strategies, and asking themselves how they respond. Could this spur more trades? Free agent signings? Could it trigger a domino effect we haven't even imagined yet? In football, one big move can change everything, and the whispers surrounding T. Higgins' transition to the Commanders might be just the tip of the iceberg. The drama, the intrigue, and the speculation, it's exactly what fans live for in the offseason. What makes this even juicier is that neither team has confirmed anything. The lack of official announcements keeps the rumor mill alive, fuels the social media frenzy, and adds that edge-of-your-seat tension that makes these moments unforgettable. Fans are analyzing every snippet of news, every interview, every cryptic social media post, trying to piece together the puzzle. And while speculation is rampant, one thing is clear. T. Higgins moving to the Commanders would be a game-changer. It's the kind of story that will be dissected in podcasts, debated on sports shows, and dissected endlessly in YouTube comment sections for weeks to come. So, buckle up, because if these rumors solidify, we're looking at a seismic shift in the NFL landscape. The NFC East could suddenly have a new powerhouse weapon. The Bengals will have to adjust without one of their premier targets, and T. Higgins could be on the verge of the most exciting chapter of his career yet. Every fan, every analyst, every commentator will be watching closely, and the anticipation is practically unbearable. The offseason just got a lot hotter, and this story isn't just news. It's the kind of football saga that will have people talking long before the regular season kicks off. Higgins to the Commanders? It's the kind of rumor you feel in your gut, the kind you can't ignore, the kind that could define the next chapter in NFL history. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.